back to Kickturn Party.
We're back again, and we're going to bring you some more skateboard history. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about
demos.
Demos, because demos are, whether you're in the demo or whether you're seeing the demo, demos are a great thing. They're a good way to push skateboarding out to the masses.
And they kept the scene alive most of the late 80s through the 90s. And sometimes you got to go to a killer demo with top pros or something at a mall parking lot. But most of the time it was your B-team pros that was what they had to do to be on the team. They toured the country in a van and did demos at your local skate shop.
Yep.
And that was a way for your local skater or whatever to link up with a small-time pro, skate with them, watch them.
Exactly.
And demos were hip, man. Skated many
One
myself.
of the very first demos I went to was at the Rivergate Mall in Nashville.
Wow.
And Ray Underhill and the Pepsi team were riding. And it was one of my first introductions to skateboarding. I went down there with my little plastic freeformer board and realized that I was just a kook.
My first demo was the Trash Bash in 1986.
And I had that on my list to talk about.
I skated in it. Yeah.
So we did the Trash Bash. The city invited us out and said, "Oh, you skateboarders need to be in our little parade."
Which I don't even know what the Trash Bash was all about, but
it was about recycling or something.
They did it at the 1982 World's Fair Park in 1986. And we got to skate in the Trash Bash.
And we were all wearing Team THC
That was
t-shirts.
the dawn of Team THC.
And not only that, so Bart was doing a boneless one or something in the street, shot his skateboard out into the crowd and hit some old lady's ankle and injured it fairly bad.
Probably put her in the hospital.
It wasn't cool.
It was not cool.
We didn't get invited back to any more of the city demos for a little bit.
That was my first demo, was the Trash Bash.
But we've done a lot of demos. Yep. Another great Knoxville memory demo was when Team Madrid came through with Bryce Knights and Klaus Grabke.
Fred Smith and Florian
Baum. They all came through.
Klaus
and
Grabke,
we had a great time at that one.
Yeah, Bryce Knights was working for Thrasher and riding pro for Madrid. And who else was on that team? There was a few of them.
Danforth?
Bill Danforth.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they all came over to the house afterwards, and they rode our backyard. It was amazing.
Yeah, we did a contest at the Inner Wheel over in that shopping center. And had a car, got to skate a car.
Oh, I've got a picture of me jumping over that car.
That contest actually landed me my first sponsor.
Yeah,
No Limits skate shop in Pensacola, Florida.
So demos are a great thing, whether you're just doing a local demo for your local community or your local newspaper or your local government, or you're going to a demo where the pros have come in town, and it's a good place to meet your pros. I mean, you see these guys in the magazines and stuff.
Just a couple of years ago, we went to that one in Georgia and skated with McGill and Hackett, Duncan. Who else was there? Donnie Griffin was there. And I used to skate against Donnie Griffin in contests.
And that's one of the great things about skateboarding is you can go to these demos and
Rodney Mead was there.
You can meet your heroes. You can have access to the top pros in the skateboarding world. Whereas if you go to an NFL game, it's not like you're going to run down on and meet Peyton Manning or something like that. It's like you're not going to get access to those guys. That Atlanta demo,
I actually got to talk to Christian Assoy.
Exactly.
And Christian Assoy sometimes can come off as like, I don't have time for you, but man, he was really cool that day. He was even cooler at Kona when Kona 40 was a 3-day demo.
Yeah.
That's all that was.
Exactly.
It was a 3-day demo.
So we've got a couple of videos here of demos that we've had in Knoxville.
Back in the day, Doomsday, our local fireworks extravaganza.
So this is a Stink brand skateboards came through.
This is Danforth.
And they had a foldable half pipe.
There he
was towed on a trailer.
The hate missile himself, Bill Danforth.
There's Bill. He, good old buddy of mine. He did this. We did this at Pluto Sports when it was still down on the strip in Knoxville.
In the parking lot.
And
there's Wilburn.
No, I'm not sure. These were all the...
Oh, that was his guy?
Yeah, these were all the Stink pros. They wouldn't let anybody else skate the half pipe. I tried to get them to put it up in my backyard because it was my birthday.
We tried to put it up on Highland and he wouldn't do it.
And they wouldn't do it because of liability and stuff.
There's the old Pluto.
There's the old Pluto.
It used to be Raven Records back in the day.
Yeah. But this was Small pants,
big pants, small wheels.
Small wheels days. Yeah, yeah.
What was that, like, certain 91, 92,
I think this was
like
90.
Maybe 93.
And you can definitely tell the difference between all these kids.
That was up on rollerblades.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bill.
And you can tell the Danforth style as opposed to the kids.
Well, Danforth's wearing Pro Design knee pads. Nobody else is even wearing a pad.
Well. I remember this guy. That guy in the white right there, he ripped. I can't remember his name, but yeah.
He's got big ramp style. You can tell he rides train. That is a finger flip invert.
Yeah, and we had a big party at my house
this
after
kid's a street transition pro.
Yeah.
That other guy was a big ramp.
We had a big party at my house after this down in the fort, and I remember that kid in the white. He was a good kid. You know. Here's a funny story about that. I
remember this so well. Trey and the boat board going all the way down the alley. God, I remember that.
So here's another funny story about this is we had a big party at my house afterwards, and I was one of the very few people that had one of the very first fast internet connections at DSL back in 1990.
DSL 128K.
Yeah.
Woo!
3 months after these guys left, I got a huge bill for porn charges because they got a hold of my computer, and apparently
more waiting on naked chicks to download, man. It was instant.
Apparently so. Those guys, they raped my computer. So this is Trey. He was ripping the boat board that day, and people didn't know what to think about that because they were watching the demo.
All the way down.
We've talked about this after this, and he was like, "Man, if I had hit somebody, if they stepped back, I could have broken their ankles or something."
Oh, he could have really taken somebody.
Yeah. It wasn't. It wasn't a cool thing.
Something 12 feet wide, 4 feet tall.
Yeah. I think it was. All made out of metal. It folded
over into a trailer.
And they could tow it down the road behind a Joe cartoon Hummer.
Yeah, he had it was an H1 or an H2. It was an actual Hummer though.
It was the big Hummer. So
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. It's full on trailer.
Yeah, Joe Cartoon, JoeCartoon.com. He was hot.
What's with the old guy in the beard watching?
We attracted everyone.
Damn kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what demos were all about, was getting people out to watch whatever small-time local touring team, pro, a little bit of mix of amateurs and pros coming out to, show you what's up with skateboarding.
Okay, so speaking of another,
there's Doug. There's
Doug
JD.
Walker and JD. And this was Danforth hurt his ankle, and they were taping up his ankle.
It's because he's wearing Converse.
So I think we might have another demo video of Tony Hawk.
Oh, at the skate park.
Tony Hawk came to our local skate park.
Yeah, so a little backstory. We built a skate park back in 2008, and Tony Hawk Foundation gave us 10 grand, he gave us 25 grand, which was the maximum allotment that Tony Hawk Foundation would give. And so anytime that Tony Hawk gives you money for a skate park, he'll come on his tour and skate your park.
And it took him about 3 years to make it around. It took him about 3 years to make it around
Kevin
ours.
Staub.
But he came, Riley Hawk.
And Jaws was there.
Yeah.
Staub, Hawk, who else was there? Riley was there. Riley skated that.
Yeah.
And they showed up in the Quicksilver tour bus, and we got to skate with them, which was really rad. This is all just his team though, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much the Birdhouse
Like this
team.
footage is just him. And
Yeah. Well, I cut out the local guys because we're all lame compared to these guys. So
yeah, but that was real rad. I thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with Kevin Staub because I went to a couple of NSA contests where Kevin Staub would always do the East Coast contests with Joe Johnson and those guys.
Right.
So I'd skated with him, but I never really actually got to hang out, talk to him, and skate with him.
And these guys were ripping. This is some of the biggest ripping that I've seen at Knoxville Skatepark. Not only that, this is probably one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I'd say there was probably 1,000 people at KSP that day.
And
when we were skating, it was hard to get up on the lip of the pool without hurting somebody.
Because
they wouldn't step back.
I felt kind of bad for Tony. I'm sure it happens to him all the time because he was just getting hounded by kids. Mothers, soccer moms were pushing their kids at him, going, "Go get him signed! Go get him signed!
Yeah,
go get him signed!"
You know what, man? Tony's is cool with that. He's used to it, and he actually handles it so gracefully.
He was very diplomatic. He was like, "Let me do it after I finish skating."
Yeah. He was actually really cool.
And you know, I got to, you know, we knew what we were doing because we've done this before.
Well,
so we
got to ride with him.
We muscled our way right up at the front of the pool, and we're out of the way. I'm dropping in.
I got a couple of yes from Kevin and Tony doing during the pool demo.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
As that was before I tweaked my knee and could actually still ride vert pretty well.
You'll be back, and you
Kevin.
know, it was hard to keep the people off the lip.
I don't know if it's in this video, but Kevin stopped frontside rock and roll some guy's leg at one point and makes it like fully. Yeah, fakey rocks a leg there.
He's hitting a shin on somebody, and
he's backing you up is what he's doing.
Yeah,
get off my lip.
Yeah, exactly. I think you were telling me about, you know, he was doing these huge
backside ollies,
and you asked him about it, and it's like, how are you doing that? Because your feet are barely on. He said it's a pump and pray.
Yep.
Because he was,
that's one of those tricks that Kevin Staub's always done, floated big backside ollies, and while his pump and pray answer was a little tongue in cheek, but man, that's what a lot of what that trick is. As long as you feel like the board's still on your feet, man, go for it.
I wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know either. I mean, that's how backside airs are for me is hang on and pray.
Yeah. But
Riley, Riley's probably 17 right there.
Yeah, this was a seriously good demo.
It gave a lot of good exposure to the scene in Knoxville at the time.
Yeah.
Look, that was the first time that we had painted the coping. See how it's only like an inch or two?
Yeah.
We had just painted that coping.
And it was nice and slick. And and those guys were ripping, you know, and Tony was so great about the whole thing. Like I said, afterwards he signed autographs and stuff.
Hung out for a while.
I think that's coming up here in a little bit.
Yeah. They did a board and a sticker toss.
And they.
Who?
What's that?
Oh yeah, his doppelganger was
and
there.
I believe that's
showed
coming
up with
up
an
a little
ice board.
bit. That's exactly what I was going to talk about.
Beaver right there.
And Beaver,
who is now
pro.
Yeah, he's pro now. He's an X Games contender, kind of, sort of.
And he's running around with the Nitro Circus, and he's ripping it up. He does.
Yeah, he travels the world and does some crazy stuff. And he is an alternate for the Mega Ramp. In the X Games,
and he's really good at it. What's his trick? The twist?
The Swift roll.
The Swift roll,
named after Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
but he also does skater cross with like Andy Mack and those guys. Oh yeah,
that's right.
And he dominates skater cross.
He rips that.
He actually can take you out on skater cross.
So afterwards, we had a little signing ceremony, and this is Colonel Bacchus, who's our local celebrity. Showed up.
Colonel Bacchus.
He makes custom skateboards, and he bought Tony an ice board, a chunk of ice with wheels and trucks on it.
And got him to sign it.
And Tony said, "I've never seen anything like that before."
And then Trey said,
and
he
signed it.
Alike.
And then they stood there, and Tony said, "Yeah, you know, thanks for bringing that down." And Trey said, "People tell us we look a lot alike."
Yeah, Tony was super graceful. Man.
And
so was Kevin.
And then Trey drug that thing away and he put it back in his bag. And I said, "Let me see that signature. I want to take a picture of it." He goes, "Oh, it's melted off." And I said, "You need to go ask him to sign it again." He goes, "Tony."
And look at Kevin. Kevin's just like, "What?"
Yeah, they didn't know what to
Tony
think.
takes his own picture of it.
People tell me we look a lot alike.
Yeah.
And what did Tony say? He said something.
He said, "Do us proud."
Do us proud.
Do us proud.
Yeah. He was kind of blown away by the whole thing.
That was a really good demo.
That's what happens when you're at the abandoned airport and you're hanging out with Tony Hawk.
Thanks for coming by. Another episode in the bag. Thanks for joining us. Send us some email. Tell us what you think. Tell us we suck. Give us some ideas.
That's right. And go organize a demo. Put one on in your neighborhood.
Subscribe to our channel. We're almost to 100.
Yeah. Put a demo in your neighborhood. Drag your ramps out in the street.
Send us some footage, yeah.
Drag your neighbors out. Get them to watch you
skate.
Show
Grandma and Aunt Ethel what you got.
Everybody's gonna hang out here tonight. All right. We'll pass out in the flat. All right. Tonight. We got nothing better to do than to take 6 runs, drink a dozen brews. Don't talk about anything else. We don't wanna know.